I've given a lot of my comments on this particular project in the past, so I won't try to rehash those. But I've got perhaps a compromise from my previous statements. What if we were to pull the municipal building off the property and just leave all of the civic amenities that are DC funded, that already have funding sources, and we say, let's move forward with that project. And we then wrestle in a separate conversation, knowing that project is moving forward, we then wrestle with, what do we now do? I've said before, but it hasn't been proven nor disproven, that this building can take on a lot more employees given a different floor plate. Be it that the modern office, if you go to Deloitte and Touche today, doesn't have tons of walls all over the place with everyone having individual offices. There's a lot more working together in an office space. There's a lot more people that, with the technology that we're rolling out here at the town of Richmond Hill.
We were kind of dealing with asking questions on the financial aspects of Mr. Dexter.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So as we then have the opportunity to have other people working from home because of the technology that we're rolling out, we don't need as many, shall we say, bums in the seats here in the building. So what would that number look like if we were to take the building out of it and just leave the other piece there? I suspect it takes us away from any of the having to go into debt or having to increase taxes. If I understand correctly, those are already accounts that we have that are DC funded.
If you don't build a building, I guess we don't need parking then either. Maybe we do, maybe we don't.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the building component of the 190 is the municipal building portion is at least 96 million plus contingencies plus furniture and equipment and all that stuff. So it's probably in excess of 110 to 120 million dollars in that range of that total project. So that's probably the portion of it.
And is it a correct assumption that the remaining work would be DC funded and would already have sources?
Through Mr. Mayor, there's the underground parking component, which is some $31 million, 31 to 33 million. That's not the part of that's requiring some other funding source besides DCs.
So if you're building a park in an urban setting where you can't provide surface parking, can you not collect DCs for that parking, whether it be surface or underground? Being that it's not providing for municipal workers to park, it's for the parking of the residents to enjoy those amenities.
Development charge, through Mr. Mayor, the development charges are based on past service levels under the current legislative framework. So we don't have that underground parking history service level, so we don't have a basis for doing that in the future and funding it from development charges.
So how do you move forward in an environment where you haven't had it before? For example, I mean, it may be a poor example, but the Oak Ridges Library, we never had a library that big in Oak Ridges, but we've still got library DCs paying for it. It would seem to be a different service level for the residents of Oak Ridges coming from a rental unit in a 6,000 square foot space to a 19,000 square foot space. The same principle.
Well, that's fine.
You now have a small parking lot, now you got a big one, but it's underground. It's still parking.
It's parking for parks.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the library component, all the townwide service are looked on for each service on a whole townwide situation. So with respect to the Oak Ridges Library, we look at the overall service level in the town, the square footage and such, and if it's within the service framework and the funding formula going forward, then we can fund it that way. So if the service is already in the town and what we're asking for is within that service parameter, then we can fund it from DCs, in which case the Oak Ridges Library was within there.
So parking's within the town. I mean, I take a look at Richmond Green, there's There's tons of parking available. Tons of parking would be needed to be available there. You're saying there would still be a small shortfall, but we would be taking away well over 100 and, was it 110 million?
110 to 120 if you consider contingencies and furniture, equipment, and IT infrastructure.
We'll use a number of 120 million and perhaps even a reduction in the amount of underground parking required, which you're saying is 30 million. Let's cut that in half. There's another 15 million. Is that fair?
I couldn't comment on the parking, right, but the building numbers.
I'm going to say 130 million. We'll leave 5 million on the table. So it takes 130 million out, which puts us in a much better position. I'm glad to get a clarification on those numbers. Thank you.